Alright guys, so exciting video. We're gonna jump right into it. We're going down to Glazers, taking my Telecaster, and we're gonna get a G-bender added to it, which I've talked about doing for a really long time. Hopefully if Joe's there, he can give us some of the history of the bender, of how he's evolved it. And let's just quit talking. Let's get on the road, man. We gotta get there. Alright, so we're kicking things off. We have to disassemble it. Now, do we keep the strings or do we just need to...
we'll put a new set on.
New set? Okay.
And so we'll start just taking measurements of everything.
Okay. This is Aaron, the man.
Put it here too. And that just lives on the back of the neck pretty much, so when I put it over there, I know which ones go together.
Nice.
So you're getting a G. What throw length are you going?
So what do you mean by throw length?
The throw length is, it's how far your travel is for your lever here.
Oh, okay.
And this one is set to a long. So you're going all this distance
to get that full step.
To change this full step.
Okay.
Here.
So what do you recommend for someone who hasn't had a bender before?
On your first one, I mean 90% of guys get a medium.
Medium? Okay.
Not many guys get a short. It's kind of like if you're playing sitting down a lot, you know, short's kind of handy because you don't have to really get out
go too far. I do play more sitting down, so maybe the medium is still kind of
medium.
Still medium.
A lot of guys that are really into Kenny Vaughn or Marty Stewart and all that stuff, I'll get them to go, you know, try that long because it is a cool thing for that old school style like they're doing, and which is kind of what this guy was doing.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So that's already a point about benders I didn't.
Yeah, and it's changeable. You know, you can do it down the road. This plate comes off, and we'll look at that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to pull a few things apart, but you can change with a set screw from short, medium, or long. Action-wise, measurement pretty average over here. This is higher than average, so I'm going to say we kind of even it out a little bit, and then I'll measure one more thing, and that's the height of this pickup. So 210 to 260. That way when we get everything back together, pickup heights don't change, action doesn't change for 95% of the guys.
Nice, yeah, so we got to take the whole thing apart and then show you guys the process of all this. Alright, now so this is the mechanism.
Yeah, that's the mechanism
that's
itself.
Gonna do it all.
That everything pretty much lives on this plate as far as throw length, your distance you're traveling to get to the change, your stop.
Okay, so that's
your tension's back here, but we've got the tension on this wheel is set with this little set screw in here, and we have all that set before.
Okay, so and then the back of it, where does the strap go on it?
Your strap locks in right here with a strap button. Just a standard Dunlop strap
cool.
button.
I was curious.
Snaps in there. You'll have this on your strap, obviously.
Yeah.
And then clicks in and out easy enough.
Guess what I didn't bring?
And if you, we've got strap. If you look here, there's 3 holes here, 1, 2, and 3. So your medium throw is in the middle here.
Oh, I see.
Your long throw is down here, and then your short throw is here. So say you get it home and you're like, I wanna see what the long throw's like. You're just gonna loosen this screw, loosen this tension screw. It's gonna back that screw out and give you the ability to pop this plate off.
Oh, so
and then from there you can Allen wrench to move to whichever hole you want.
A know-nothing like me can even adjust it.
Yeah, it's pretty quick and simple. You know, it's you don't really have to take the neck off. You know, you can pull the screws.
Yeah, I was curious how to
tilt this back and then put the screws back in without the plate. That way you don't have to take everything apart, loosen string tension and all that.
So does this sit under the neck like here, or do you drill out a spot in the back?
There's going to be a route from the back, and we'll do that in just a sec.
Okay.
So there'll be that route where that sits down in there. And we use these router templates. The other route will mount on here. So your template will lay on there like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And then you're lining up your string through holes with a couple other holes we have drilled in here. So that depends on whether your string through holes are in front or behind, is where this route is going to end up landing compared to the mounting holes.
And then are you guys kind of already using the routes that are here? Like, is that where the wire comes out of? Or
no,
it's its own kind of route through the body.
The long hole goes all the way through.
That looks terrifying.
And we'll mount all that onto here in a minute.
Okay.
And this is just a sled.
Look at that thing.
And it adjusts to, you know, if you've got a slanted neck plate, you don't want your angle to be quite as sharp. You want to go a little flatter.
Yeah.
So we'll pull out some of these spacers. You know, there's different ones just depending on what we're doing. I mean, everything's able to move around. That way we can get all the different styles.
Yeah. No, this is cool. I'm pumped. I want to like.
So your other.
I want to see this.
This is going to drill the hole right here.
Right there.
And then it'll be just right beside this one.
Nice.
And you'll end up having this nice little ferrule that sits in there, so you don't really see anything.
Oh, okay.
It looks factory.
So it almost looks like an
inset, almost like this, you know.
Yeah. All right. I think it's time to.
I think we just drill it.
Time to do it. Alright, so this is the first route for the bridge.
Yeah, so there's three routes. There's the main route here, which allows your finger to move back and forth.
Okay.
Inside of here, there's the swing plate sitting in there. The swing plate has these little ears on it, so there's this small route. So this little swing plate.
So that's the swing plate. Let me get a close up of that thing. That's cool.
It lives right there. And then from there, let me get a little straighter. So it'll live right in there, sits flush with the top.
Okay.
And your bridge sits flat down on that. And your finger, depending on B or G, there'll be the cable running in here in a minute, which is through the hole we're about to drill. The finger will either sit on the B side of the cable or the G side. So when you're converting it, if you do, you just drop it straight down into either side.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to mention, because we were looking at that bender over there, and you said they're convertible. It's where you could flip. I assume you flip the saddle.
Yeah, the saddle.
And then does it require any other configuration?
Nothing changes in the body. It'll all be just on that saddle.
Just on that saddle. That's cool. So like you could flip it in the matter of like.
Yeah, I mean a string change pretty much.
Yeah. Whoever designed this thing, they were thinking.
Yeah, he was thinking ahead.
They were thinking. And then you routed something out in the back as well.
Yeah, we did the back. I'll raise it up here. Let's show where that. So your hole there is just a footprint of this.
That goes in.
So it lives right there, like your other other neck plate would.
But before, when we had it sitting in the pocket, I was like, do you have to route out a chunk of the neck?
Yeah.
I was like, no, it all goes in the back.
And you'll see when we drill this hole next, this will come out.
And then
we're going right in between these, and we're going to land right in here. To where it doesn't matter whether you have it short, medium, or long.
Yeah.
It's perfectly kind of in the center of your...
And once it's all said and done, you basically can't tell that it's even in there.
Yeah, I mean,
aside from obviously the different bridge,
other than a different saddle and your new ferrule back here with your screw.
Yeah.
You would never know.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I'll put pictures up of the old style of benders. They had to like route out the whole back of the guitar and everything.
Big metal plate.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
So,
which is cool in its own right, you know. They're
yeah, I just didn't want to lose that much wood and all that kind of stuff. So this was a really cool alternative.
And this jig's for left or right-handed. You know, if it was a left-handed guitar, our holes are drilled over here.
On the other
just
side.
mount it there, and it would end up drilling on this side. So we start with this centering bit, and that's just a good way of starting, pretty much. And we'll go up to the 1/2 inch diameter of these bits, and then we'll go. There's a milling bit, and then these longer bits. You just kind of crawl your way up.
Up to them. Okay.
We use a milling bit pretty much just because it stays super straight from here to here.
There.
It's not wanting to wander.
Yeah.
Like a normal bit will. So I will slide this up here, make sure everything's cool here, and it is. And we'll ease that down, tighten it down a little bit. I eyeball them, you know, every time just to kind of double check, you know, but we'll drill it. So there's where it landed. I'll get some of that wax off of there.
I was going to ask you, so what were you putting on the
That's
drill?
just kind of wax to keep it from getting too hot, getting noisy, making squeaking noises that'll you can hear throughout the shop.
Yeah. So then how much more work to the body is needed at this point? Is that the kind of the bulk of it?
That's kind of the deal. There's one more little bit we'll use. I'll show you that in a sec. Let's see, we landed right where we hoped we would.
Oh, the whole, wow,
yeah, you
it went
can
all
see
the way
that
through
coming in there.
Oh my God, I didn't even notice that.
And that's how, you know, we were talking about where this mounts on here. This is the one I use 95% of the time.
Yeah.
That's what's keeping that hole landing, and we shift the body a little bit here or there.
Yeah.
Just depending on. So then you've got like contoured neck plate, left-handed contoured. So now that we've got all that, another jig pops right in there, and this is simulating where this set screw sits.
Okay.
And so that's how we're going to make our cable length to decide where this swing plate's gonna.
Okay. And the tape survived.
Like this. So tape survived. We put the screws back in. That's why we put them under there. So now we can move the body around and not have to worry about this flopping.
Yeah.
50 or so of these at a time, you know, just so I don't have to make one
like
every 10 minutes.
Made to order.
Uh-huh.
How many benders? So are benders the main thing that you do?
Yeah, I'm
here?
pretty much just bender guy and tele wiring, tele setups, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So how many do you think you've done since you've been here?
We can look it up in the computer in a little bit.
I would be curious because when Nick did a refret for me, and he had done like 1,500 refrets since the program had started. So I was like, how many of these have you done?
I want to say, I mean, it's over a few hundred. I would.
Few hundred?
At this point.
I mean,
I've been here a couple years now.
And you're pretty much doing this day in and day out.
Day out, making these. We get these pretty much assembled. We still go in, grease them, put in our little rubber stopper that makes that feel good, mess with these bearings and whatnot, put in screws.
Yeah.
We get all this stuff. This cable is just a big roll of wire, and we put in this insert there with some Loctite, and then we make this little black piece here that screws into this. We put all this together.
So you guys pretty much do everything in-house.
Pretty much, you know, it's a...
I mean, this, like, from a distance it doesn't look very complicated, and then you look it up at close, I'm like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, let's grab a double just so you can see it.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, so this is a single. Who's a player that uses a double? I know Brad has some, but...
Jimmy Olander's the main
one? The
main double guy, you know, probably made it famous.
Brent's
a B bender user.
Is he?
Skaggs and them, they're B's. I think Steve Warner's a B.
Is he?
But yeah, Olander's the main double user. So you can see it's pretty much the same as far as this down pull.
Yeah.
But then you add in your secondary pull, which is out. But you can see just all these little parts, screws and keepers, and I mean there's screws in here just holding
move the
parts in.
The bender again like you did, just so I can see it working.
In the light maybe.
That was cool.
So there's your down pull.
Okay.
And it's adjustable still.
So
short,
is that
medium,
a medium?
long? It's on a medium here. And then your out pull.
Is that?
So you've got two cables running inside of this hole where you'll only have this one cable. There'll be two, and we have to make a different swing plate with two attachments here. And they swing freely of one another. So I'm going to make this cable length. I want it to end up, I can zoom in on this a little bit. I want it to end up this shoulder to be just right past that swing plate. That way that swing plate is sitting pretty straight up and down, if not forward a touch.
Okay.
Down in there, because that's what's going to make our...
Let me see if I can see that better on this side. So where's the string kind of, you're wanting it to sit?
Yes, like these shoulders right here. It's going to set on this swing plate like this down in the body.
All right, let me see that. Okay.
And so when I'm making this cable length,
is it kind of like a guess and check situation, or is there like
it's kind of just a feel thing? You know, I just pretty much have done enough of them to where you just, I end up pinching this wire right here and it'll be pretty spot on.
You know where to make it.
So when that lands right here, it's so, say this was turned around, you'd still want it to land in the same place.
Same spot.
Because if you're too short, you have a little play in the bender that you don't want.
Okay.
And if you're too long, then you'll be engaging the bender too early. It's sitting too far forward.
Okay.
So I'll just pull this roughly right in there, and then I'll just bend it down here with my left hand until I get it right where I want it, like that. So now that I've got that, I'll hold it, move my brass collar up, and then we'll go over here to this.
Okay.
Slide it up where we want it. A little bit of Loctite. We'll let that run down in there. And then we'll go here.
And what is this thing doing?
This is just clamping
that
brass piece tight, pretty much.
I'm like, what is this machine?
It looks like it's about to do something great.
Yeah, you're like, it's a clamp. So how many of these can you do in a day?
I think the most we've done, because we do drive-ins, you know, guys will fly in or drive in from wherever, and we'll do a one-day turnaround for them. And I think the most we ever did, I think I'd booked 2 guys and then Joe had booked 1, and neither one of us told the other one yet.
Other one?
So we had 3 guys show up, and that was from, just like we did yours. We tore them down.
Yeah.
Did everything, put them in, and then set them back up and got them ready to go.
Ready to
I
go.
think 3 from 0 to the end. 3 is kind of the max.
Max.
So now,
Probably didn't have some long-haired guy with the camera in your face the whole time.
so that's all made up.
Okay.
Screw, ferrule, a little bit of white lithium grease on there. You're kind of just making kind of a little bit of grease everywhere there's a contact point, or where there's going to be a lot of
Make
movement.
things a little bit
Just to grease it for
smoother.
over time, you know. So our cable length is ready to go.
nice.
And then now, you've got yours, your 905. We'll go put you in the computer real quick.
Okay.
I measured these cables too. We just started this just to know, you know. Joe made this little jig to measure cable length.
And we did discover how many benders you have done. 580.
500 and something.
500.
That's a lot. Our cable's made. Everything's straight. Everything's like we like it. We'll send it in, and you can see it passing through. Only maybe too dark in there.
See that?
So that's going straight through. And then you'll see our shoulder thing. Swing plate shoulders slide through right where they're supposed to. And then it's just
kind of hooks on.
gonna live right there. And that little brass washer on there spins freely around that screw. And that just to keep better action pretty much over time, and it's greased too. So that way as that thing's moving, it's never hitting like a hard friction or anything. So once
Yeah, you probably don't want it jumping on you.
Yeah, you don't want it just rough. Everything needs to feel pretty smooth. So now if you look down in there, I don't have a flashlight right here, I don't think.
Oh, you know what? Here, look at me. I ain't got no tools, but I got a cell phone.
So you can see our cable length ended up right where we want it. And I can spin that.
Yeah. There we go. Now you can really see it.
Everything's nice and clean in there. We grease the swing plate a touch. We'll straighten up our cable in there. It should fall right over where it needs to be. And we'll grab another little bit. And we'll drill our holes. Start our tension screw. It'll go roughly right in there. I'll take this little hammer. You can see there's how the swing plate's actually moving down inside.
Yeah, you can kind. It's hard to see, but you can kind of see it moving on a.
And with that, the body is done pretty much.
Yeah. So is it overall, other than like reassembly, pretty much done, or
now we're gonna route your. Let me grab it. Or not route, but mill.
Oh yeah, duh, the saddles. I forgot about that.
What we want is our 2 little milled spots to be pretty much just right here, you know, because it's got to have room to swing back and forth.
Yeah, so many little things that I think you wouldn't think are involved in it.
Yeah, there's just a ton of little
steps.
tiny little steps. You know,
Oh,
so,
I gotcha.
Try and go a little deeper there. We've got our slots cut,
Okay.
and we're going to, we can actually put the B and E saddle back on because we're done with it.
Let's see. So right now it's set for
So we're going to set it up for a G.
G.
Slides down in that hole right there, through the finger, and then sits a little bit less than flush.
And you were saying more people get B benders than G
B seems to be more popular.
More popular?
On a single bender. B medium is what 90% of
people go.
they all are, you know. So if you're set up like a G, you're here.
Oh yeah, can we see the drawer?
Yeah,
Oh.
check the drawer out.
Check this out.
Brass saddles, nickel square,
Like look at these little things. What are those for?
That's actually that little brass washer I was telling
Really?
you on that. And it'll, that's what the loop goes around on the bender itself.
See, and that, just look at this drawer. Like, is this pretty much exclusively for making bender?
Yeah, this is all bender stuff.
Everything. All of this is bender stuff.
A lot of these are just pins, you know, I cut those pins.
We can do it all here. Because I had a question for Joe. Why are there no D benders or high E benders?
You know, this is all just driven by what people want. I know Marty Stewart on his original Clarence guitar, either Ralph Mooney or somebody else, I forget who it was, added a push button that drops the high E a half step, like a steel guitar, like a pedal steel.
Oh, really?
Wayne Mars might have been the person who did it too, or they might have both done it.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know how much he uses it. When the first benders I made, the very first out of the blue, because I'm a steel player, I'm a recovered steel player. The first thing I put on the earliest ones I made these triple benders. That's what my patent, actually my first patent shows, is down, out, and then there was a paddle back here that faced this direction, and you could press it against your belly.
Oh,
and it
man.
would drop the low E.
Really?
Because on a steel, you can drop the low E. You can drop the, on the C6 neck, you can drop the C6 neck down. Most people do a minor third.
Really?
Or major third.
Well, I was going to ask if there was a triple bender, so...
Yeah, and that one guy or two guys ordered them, and nobody else was interested in that. And so I stopped making them. One thing that's interesting about it, and this was like in the very beginning, in the early 70s when I first started fooling around with this, because I was playing steel, and there was a guy in my band out in California who was messing with it. When I put the drop on the E, the low E, it wouldn't return in tune, and so I had to make a locking nut.
Oh.
And that it looked just like a regular nut. It didn't sit behind. But it had to be made out of brass, and it had a little locking clamp on it that held the low E down so you could tighten it. It's just enough. It's just wide. An 1/8 of an inch nut is just wide enough to put a 440 or a 3/48 screw. So I did that. And when I did my first patent, the patent attorney said, "Well, what about this?" And he pointed at it, and I said, "Well, that's not really. God, I can't imagine that would ever be important."
Right.
It turned out when the whole, I don't think I'm wrong about this, when the whole Kaler and Kramer patent battle over the fine-tuning locking vibrato, it came down to a couple of little details, and one of them was who did the locking nut first, and I think that may have been me.
Might have been you.
Yeah, so, but because I hadn't patented it.
Oh, you couldn't do anything with it.
I couldn't do anything about it, but, which is, the first time I didn't learn that obvious lesson, there are a bunch of other things that it took a while to learn that anything that anybody might use is worth doing a patent around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you were saying you have the first bender.
Oh yeah.
That you did. I thought that was super fascinating.
The very first one I did was for a guy named Rick Esselman. He's not alive anymore, but I did it on this. He played in this band I was in, and I did it on his '66 Tele, something you'd never do today. But I had never seen one. I knew, he told me, he said, yeah, there's this thing, and you push down on the neck, and the neck is loose, and when you push down on it, the B string goes up. And so I actually tried making it just didn't make any sense, but I took a telly and put one screw neck plate so you could do that. I didn't know enough. I mean, today it'd be so obvious that couldn't work. And it did bend the strings, but it bent all of them. You know, it changed the pitch. It was totally unstable, and it wasn't the way it happened. And I tried to go visit, Gene Parsons, who really is the first guy who put a guitar strap. I mean, there had been, back even in the 20s, people were doing string benders on guitar-like stuff. But I think he was the first guy who put a viable one on the strap. And I tried to go, I was living in the Bay Area, and he was in Casper, California. And I went up there, I had a friend who lived near there, and I went up to try to visit him. He was out of town, so I never did get a chance to visit him or see what he was doing. So when I did my first bender, I just basically did it more like the steel than anything else. And this is the part.
That is. Wait, let me get it in focus. That's cool.
It's totally a Showbud style finger, and then this went where the strap button is. And it went at an angle, from the strap button to the bridge. I can show you on this.
Yeah.
And when you pull this sideways, it pulled that out, and it actually worked, which is amazing. It worked, and it actually it stayed in tune enough for a California band that we were. But it was just too crazy trying to drill a hole from there. I hit it on my first try on the guitar I was doing, and I also put a spring back there, and it worked.
Yeah.
But it was just hair raising. And so I quickly moved around to, I'll show you sort of the history of
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It quickly moved to a, this is just a jumble of stuff, but at one point I put together a little sequence of these as much as I remember. But it moved through a whole sequence of different parts. It moved to the neck plate. There was a bent neck plate. It was like a regular neck plate, but it was, see, I don't know if I even have one of the bent neck plates, but basically the neck plate was kind of, it fit in the normal place right here, but it wrapped up here, and then I moved my lever to there. So I moved it from here to there, and that was kind of working the way. It's like I made one or two of those.
Yeah.
And I'll show you those parts. I've got a whole drawer full of, I've got a graveyard of stuff here.
Oh my God, yeah.
And
so how long did it take you to get to the point where you, like, the benders you have today?
Well, took the bender we have to, I mean, I've got these. So this was the cute little lever, and it was this sat on the neck plate, and that was the strap button, and it pulled a rod. Here's one of them that's put together. You can see what I was after. There was the tuner,
yeah,
and a rod went through here. I made that for a while, and then it evolved into a, here's the remains of an original triple. The down, the cool. Out, and the other one.
Can I see that one? So this was your first one. Was
well,
the triple.
that was the first production stuff. These other things were all just kind of prototypes. All this stuff was handmade. I mean, this is so handmade. This was probably the second or third one I ever made.
Yeah, well, we were looking at the drawer of all the little components that go into a bender, and I'm like, there's so many little things.
In any case, it evolved constantly through the, you can just see all these different versions. This was probably off of an electric mandolin. And in 2018, I just decided to rework it. And I wanted to be able to address the fact that you couldn't easily choose between a B pull and a G pull. And Brad Paisley and Jeff King and Jim Olander all used G as their primary pull. Well, we've done some, I'll show you some other wacko stuff. Clint Black had Johnny Highland had a, maybe it was a Carvin that had a folded the heel folded, and so I just went and bent one of these things. This was my test piece, and it worked. And then I made one that was nicer and cleaner and put it on his guitar, because I like being able to. I need the personal challenge.
Have you ever put a bender on something with like a Tune-o-matic or?
Yeah, we did a couple different.
Really, that would be crazy.
We did a couple guitars. I think we did one for Joe Perry and one for, and a couple of them for maybe Keith Richards was the other person that Gibson did, and that wasn't a model.
Yeah.
Gibson did a model about 10 years ago or so, the Music City Special, maybe that's what it's called, because it was a Les Paul Special. That didn't use a Tune-o-matic, but we've done Tune-o-matics, and I mean, I've tried everything. I like saying yes, and then finding out how much trouble it is.
That's cool. Well, it seems like you like the challenge of figuring it out. So
I don't like doing stuff many times in a row, which is why Aaron is great, and he's thoughtful about stuff. He figures out if there's an issue, if something can be done better. We look at every guitar, and when doing this retrofits, every guitar is different, and so we have to deal with issues. A lot of the things we run into are these kit guitars where people buy a neck somewhere and a body somewhere, and they're not standard.
Yeah,
the distance to the bridge isn't standard, and that's a real problem. So Aaron is really good at that. If it's a bad enough problem, it's fun to solve it, and I get involved. But otherwise, I don't really want to do the same thing twice.
All the time.
So we're really lucky that we've got that, that he's good at that.
Yeah, he said he looked at the thing, 500 and some benders.
At least.
Yeah.
He's done at least that many.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've done, of this version, there might be 4,000 of them out there. We do 2 or 3 a day, so they're, they add up.
Well, thank you, Joe.
You bet. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. And I think Aaron said we've just got to put the neck on this thing, and then it's good to go.
Great.
Right there.
The
And
guitar.
that's pretty much that. She's back together.
Nice. Look at that thing.
Yeah, the clay dots. I mean, that looks great.
Yeah, like I said, they really.
The board's dark.
I've probably hyped the AV2 guitars up a little too much, but I really, really like them. Yeah, do that one more time. That was cool. Yeah, see, to me that sounds cool.
Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Alright guys, it is in, it is good to go. I have been playing this thing now for a couple weeks here. I can't thank Joe and the guys over at Glazers enough for just being awesome. The whole place over there, that's definitely where I'm taking all my guitars from now on. I did throw out here, the bender works amazing. Absolutely perfect, I've got it all tuned up. There might have been an incident where I put super glue on this switch and it's not working now because I'm not too smart. So I have to take this back to Glazers, have them look at it. They're gonna be like, you're bringing that telly back again? So the bender and all that stuff though, absolutely fantastic. Can't thank them enough. They did a great job. If you want to get a bender put in one of your guitars, obviously go to Glazers. Check it out. I'll have links down to Glaser Bender. And just thank you again to them. And I will be seeing you all later. I'll end it bluesy bender style.